Spring 1944. The invasion of Europe is imminent. The German High Command knows the Allies are coming. The Atlantic Wall is built. The panzers are fueled. The beaches are mined. But Adolf Hitler has a problem. He knows that they are coming, but he doesn't know where. His generals, Rommel and Rundstedt, are arguing. Rommel believes the attack will come at Normandy. Rundstedt believes it will be further north. But Hitler is fixated on one thing, or rather, one man. He scans the intelligence reports from England. He looks for the location of the British armies. He looks for the location of the Canadian forces. But mostly, he is looking for the location of the one American general he actually respects. The one man he believes is capable of leading a massive cross-channel invasion. George S. Patton, the cowboy general, the man who drove the Germans out of Africa and Sicily, the man whose aggression matched the Wehrmacht's own blitzkrieg tactics. Hitler was convinced that wherever Patton was, the main attack would be. If Patton was in Scotland, they would invade Norway. If Patton was in Dover, they would invade Calais. The Allies knew this, and so they decided to play the most dangerous game of poker in military history. They would use Hitler's fear against him. They would turn their most aggressive general into a ghost. This is the story of how George Patton defeated the German army without firing a single shot, simply by existing. To understand the deception, we must first understand the disgrace. In August 1943, Patton was the most famous general in the Allied army. But after the infamous slapping incidents in Sicily, where he struck two shell-shocked soldiers in a field hospital, his career was in ruins. Eisenhower was furious. The American public was outraged. There was talk of firing him, sending him home in disgrace. But Eisenhower knew something the public didn't. He knew that Patton was a weapon. You don't throw away your sharpest sword just because it cuts you. Instead, Ike decided to put Patton in the doghouse. Patton was sent to England, no command, no army, just a VIP in exile. He thought his career was over. He wrote in his diary, "I am destined to sit this war out while lesser men win the glory." But German intelligence didn't know about the slapping incident. The Allies had kept it relatively quiet in Europe. To the Germans, the Patton's sudden disappearance from the front lines was suspicious. Why would the Americans pull their best general out of the fight in Italy? They concluded he was being saved for something big. And that gave Eisenhower an idea. If the Germans thought Patton was preparing for a massive invasion, why not give them one? Enter FUSAG, the first United States Army Group. On paper, it was the largest, most powerful military force ever assembled. It had 11 divisions, thousands of tanks, heavy artillery, and landing craft. It was stationed in southeast England, directly across the water from the Pas de Calais, the shortest route to Germany. Its commander? Lieutenant General George S. Patton. There was just one problem. The first United States Army Group didn't exist. This was Operation Fortitude South. The Allies built a fake army. They used inflatable rubber tanks that looked real from 10,000 feet. They built fake airfields with plywood Spitfires. They created fake radio traffic simulating the chatter of thousands of soldiers. They even had Patton drive around the area in his Jeep, visiting headquarters and giving speeches to empty tents, knowing that German spies were watching. The goal was to sell a lie, that the invasion of Normandy, Operation Overlord, was just a feint, a distraction. The real invasion, the Schwerpunkt, would be led by Patton at the Pas de Calais. And Hitler bought it. D-Day, June 6, 1944. The Allies land at Normandy. The fighting is savage. The beachhead is fragile. In Berlin, the German High Command is in a panic. Rommel is screaming for reserves. He needs the Panzer Division stationed at Pas-de-Calais to move south and crush the Americans on the beaches before they can dig in. Hitler looked at the map. He saw the landings at Normandy, but then he looked at the intelligence reports from Dover. Patton is still in England, the reports say. The first U.S. Army group has not moved. Hitler froze. He was terrified that if he moved his tanks to Normandy, Patton would cross the channel behind him and take Calais, marching straight to Berlin. So he issued the order that changed the war. The 15th Army is to remain in place. We must wait for the real invasion. For weeks, while the Allies clawed their way through the hedgerows of Normandy, 150,000 of Germany's best soldiers sat on their hands, watching an empty sea for a general who wasn't coming. Patton, the man who wasn't there, was holding down more German divisions than the entire Allied army was fighting in France. By late July, the Allies had secured the beachhead. The deception had worked. It was time to end the charade. Patton was secretly flown to France. He was given command of the newly formed Third Army. When the Germans finally realized that Fusag was a fake, it was too late. Patton wasn't landing at Calais. He was already behind their lines in Normandy. Operation Cobra, the breakout, began. Patton's Third Army activated, and the cowboy was finally let off the leash. The speed was blinding. In 2 weeks, Patton's forces covered 600 miles. They encircled the Germans at Falaise. They liberated Paris. They moved so fast the maps couldn't keep up. A captured German general, upon realizing he had been surrendered to Patton's army, reportedly said, "We spent months waiting for you at Calais, and you were already cutting our throats in Brittany." Hitler's fear became a self-fulfilling prophecy. By fearing Patton too much, he allowed the Allies to land safely. And by waiting for the big attack, he ensured that when Patton finally did attack, there were no reserves left to stop him. General George Patton is often remembered for his pearl-handled revolvers, his foul mouth, and his aggressive tactics. But his greatest contribution to the war might have been the months he spent sitting in a tent in England, doing absolutely nothing. He was the boogeyman of the Third Reich, the only Allied commander whose reputation alone was enough to paralyze the German High Command. Hitler respected power, and in his mind, Patton was power. It was a respect that cost him his empire. What do you think? Was the Ghost Army deception the most important part of D-Day? Or would the Allies have won anyway? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to know what a German mayor said when Patton told him he had 15 minutes to surrender, click the video on your screen right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe to W2 History Hub.